Two more people running for president have dropped out of the race as the remaining Democrats gear up for the biggest push of their campaigns. I'm Laura Podesta with details about Super Tuesday.
Construction still going on at the new Gallatin High School, but you may be able to take a walk inside as early as April. I'm Annie Johnson and I have the latest for you coming up.
Just ahead of 6:30 on this Monday, Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Caitlin Corbett is off today, but
I'm going to start naming days. Super Tuesday, I'm going to have a Magnificent Monday.
Magnificent Monday.
That's what I'm going to call today.
We've never had one of those before, so
it's going to be hard to go.
This is a brand new thing.
Part of that is 3 cups of coffee, and yeah,
that's good.
That's all right. Hey, temperatures this morning not bad. Monday. I'm going with it, man. I'm glass half full kind of guy. Temperatures into the 20s in Butte, 22 in Belgrade, 0 in West Yellowstone, but it's warming up in West. It was 11 below earlier this morning. That cloud cover's building in. I think mostly cloudy skies to start, or maybe a few snow showers in the mountains of western and southwestern Montana. Won't last long, but the wind will start to pick up starting late this afternoon. Oh, that's beautiful right there.
That's lovely,
beautiful start to the day. Temperature should be near the 40-degree mark. In fact, that Magnificent Monday is going to continue all day long. We'll talk about that and what you can expect this week in just a few minutes.
Well, thank you. 6:30 on Matt's Magnificent Monday. Our top story this half hour. A top contender is out, and the remaining Democratic candidates for president are gearing up for the biggest push of their campaign. The CBS News' Laura Podesta reports Super Tuesday is tomorrow, when more than a dozen states will be choosing their nominee.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg, the 38-year-old from South Bend, Indiana, has dropped out of the race for president. His announcement came Sunday night after a crushing defeat in South Carolina.
I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we have a new Democratic president come January.
The remaining candidates are now in a race to pick up the moderate supporters Pete will be leaving behind, plus those from billionaire former hedge fund exec Tom Steyer, who also withdrew from the race over the weekend. The timing of all those votes couldn't come at a more crucial time. Super Tuesday is tomorrow. 14 states, including California and Texas, will be deciding who gets the more than 1,300 delegates at stake.
The fact is, you need real results, and we need them now.
Joe Biden trails Senator Bernie Sanders, who's currently leading in the total delegate count.
And the argument that we can't beat Trump is absolutely wrong.
Senators Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar remain in the race. Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg does too. And after spending more than $500 million in political advertising, he's hoping to make a splash tomorrow when a third of all delegates are up for grabs. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Now, Laura tells us so far less than 5% of delegates have been awarded. After tomorrow, that jumps to 38%. Back here at home now, an update with the new Gallatin High School. Officials have completed the process of dividing the students and teachers to figure out who's going and who's staying. TN's Annie Johnson caught up with the Bozeman school superintendent. Find out the details.
Time is ticking away, and in a matter of months, Gallatin High School will be finished and open for the school year.
I go over once a month or so, and it's amazing the changes that occur.
Changes for the new school means changes back at Bozeman High.
They've always been the Hawks, and moving to a new school is kind of, and it's gone both ways, don't get me wrong.
Superintendent Connors says the school is almost complete externally, and progress is being made internally as well.
We opened it up to the Bozeman High staff, which teachers were going to transfer over to Gallatin, which teachers were going to stay at Bozeman High.
The process for the initial transfer of teachers and students is complete, but it will be another 2 years before the final transfer.
And so all the seniors will be at Bozeman High next year. There will be another transfer of teachers in 2 years because of those senior classes will be needed at Gallatin here in 2 years.
For some students, this will be the last year they walk the halls here at Bozeman High School. That is until they start school at Gallatin High. For Gallatin High teachers and coaches, the move was voluntary.
Again, no forced transfers on the coaches, no forced transfers on the teachers. It was their choice to start out there.
And for students, it was a matter of logistics.
They created boundaries, and so what they looked at was they looked at population, obviously, where the growth is happening in Bozeman, but then you have to factor in your subgroups.
The new school is still on track to be completed by June 1st. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
6:34 now on this Monday. It was an evening of celebrating African culture last night on the campus of Montana State University. Students from the African Student Association organized the event that showcased different aspects of African culture like dance, music, fashion, and food from different countries represented by the students on the campus. Keynote speaker was Wilmot Collins, a Liberian refugee and Helena's mayor, currently running for the U.S. Senate. Organizers of the event said the evening's main emphasis was on the diverse cultures and experiences in Africa and then sharing them with the community.
Africa as a continent has been stereotyped a lot, and I always call it stereotypical reality because it's not that they're not true. They are true, but then it's one-sided, and so we don't know the other part of Africa. And so this event is very important for people to know that we are more than, like I said, the disease, the poverty, the catastrophe. We have culture, we have life, we have people, and fun.
Now, this was the first time the African Students Association sponsored the event. Montana State University will be hosting the International Food Bazaar. That comes up next month. Well, this weekend brought us some roll down your windows weather, so it might seem spring is actually getting closer. Better temperatures means more people out on the roads and unfortunately more emergency vehicles as well. TN's Jennifer Walker spoke with Great Falls Towing Company about why it's important to remember to slow down and move over.
You see signs posted across the state as a reminder. Current Montana code states a vehicle approaching a stopped emergency vehicle with appropriate flashing lights is required to reduce their speed, as well as, if safe to do so, move to a lane that is not directly next to the emergency vehicle. Along with this, if a driver is unable to move over, they are required to slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. So on a two-lane highway like US 87, where the speed limit is mostly 70 miles an hour, a vehicle would need to slow to 50 when passing near an emergency vehicle. Something wrecker operator KZ Posner says doesn't always happen.
That's quite the wind gust when they come by and they're not even a lane over from you.
Not following the code creates far too many close calls, like this highway patrol video, where the officer's vehicle and a car that was pulled off to the side were struck. Tow truck operators often have a harder time being seen because they don't have those traditional red and blue lights that most other emergency vehicles may have. But the risk of getting hit out here is still just as high. Posner also says the constant worry can interfere with everyday tasks.
And it takes a little longer because we're having to watch over our shoulders all the time to watch for those vehicles that don't move over and slow down.
For safety's sake, reduce your speeds or change lanes. In Great Falls, Jennifer Walter, MTN News.
6:37 now. Putting together an orchestra takes time, talent, and patience. In this morning's Under the Big Sky, we take a look at how talented individuals are brought together to make beautiful music in Helena.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by the Greater Montana Foundation and Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic.
The Helena Symphony Orchestra is a professional orchestra. They work under a master agreement, effectively like a union. And it's like dealing with a pretty big sports team. You have 78 players, your 13 principals. They're sort of like your captains. These players, most of them are full-time musicians in some way. Teachers, professors, freelancers. There's changes needed sometimes. Some people are ready to retire. Some people might be relocating. We don't fill those positions quickly. We take our time. There's an interview process. The auditions to get in the orchestra are blind. They're behind a curtain, and there's an audition committee. A professional orchestra traditionally rehearses very tightly. 4 or 5 rehearsals, that's it. The music is distributed by the librarian. It's in their contract. They have to have it in their hands no less than 3 weeks before the first rehearsal. They're expected to arrive fully performance ready. I mean, they're expected to be on a much higher level. When you're the music director, you're not just conducting. You're working with the people who are fundraising. You're working with the marketing people. You are help guiding the ship. We get involved with music, at least I did, just to make music. I never thought about the other stuff. But that stuff is equally as important. You want to be involved in the community. You want to be out there. Your name is the name under the logo. The nonprofit world, it's not a top-down structure. It's a circle. Our staff The musicians in the orchestra, the musicians in the chorale, the board, all told, the organization's about 200 people. Everybody has a voice at the table, everybody has an impact. It's hard not to be excited to work for a group that makes art.
By the way, the Helena Symphony appears in the next episode of Under the Big Sky, which premieres Saturday, March 28th, 6 o'clock, right here on MTN. We are going to take a quick break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, movie lovers in Butte now have a golden ticket to watch their favorites. The new owners of the mining city theater paid a visit to Butte last week. We'll check in with them. But first, let's check in with the folks in New York for a look at what's ahead on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, a second coronavirus death is reported in Washington state, and the disease reaches America's most heavily populated city. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo joins us. Plus, the growing concerns about travel within the U.S. as flights to some other countries are suspended. And we'll have the latest on why Pete Buttigieg dropped out of the Democratic presidential race and who he may endorse before Super Tuesday. We'll see. And exclusively on CBS This Morning, we will reveal the top 10 riskiest scams in the U.S. That's according to a new Better Business Bureau report. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.